Trade wars, Teslas, Russia, the future of democracy, yada yada yada. Let's talk about Donald Trump's hair.
Hey, it's mine. It may not be pretty, but it's mine.
Many strange claims have been made about Donald Trump's hair and why it looks the way it does.
Barbara Walters interviewed me 2 years ago, and she said, "Is that really your hair?"
Eventually, Trump's hair almost seemed to become an entity of its own, one with a vague resemblance to a varmint of some sort. Earlier in his real estate career, though, it wasn't the much discussed curiosity it has become today. When the New York Times profiled Trump in 1984, all that columnist William E. Geist found noteworthy about his hair was its length, which Geist described as an anomaly among executives of the era. That same year, journalist Graydon Carter noted Trump's shaggy eyebrows and the slicked-down hair covering his ears. In a piece for GQ, Carter compared Trump's hair to that of the late George Steinbrenner during his more hirsute days. By the late 80s, Trump seemed to be competing with his then-wife Ivana Trump to see who could cultivate the tallest hairstyle. At the 1988 US Open Tennis Championships, Trump looked like a cross between Elvis Presley and Al Pacino in Scarface, with his thick sideburns, pompadour throwback, partially unbuttoned collared shirt, and crisp blazer.
Say hello to my little friend!
It's entirely possible that he was actually trying to channel the king of rock and roll, as in 2024, he took to Instagram to claim, "For so many years, people have been saying that Elvis and I look alike." Sebastian Stan scored an Academy Award nomination for his portrayal of Donald Trump in the 2024 movie The Apprentice. One of the film's most controversial scenes is based on an account Ivana Trump shared in a divorce deposition. Under oath, Ivana alleged that an enraged Trump had raped her in 1989 after he underwent botched scalp reduction surgery. Ivana's plastic surgeon, Dr. Stephen Hofflin, reportedly performed the procedure to surgically remove Trump's bald spot. In his book Lost Tycoon, Harry Hurt III wrote, "The Donald starts ripping out Ivana's hair by the handful as if he is trying to make her feel the same kind of pain that he is feeling." In one of the book's footnotes, though, Ivana walks back her claim, saying, "I referred to this as a rape, but I do not want my words to be interpreted in a literal or criminal sense." Hurt shares other details of Trump's cosmetic procedure in his book, writing that Hofflin covered up what remained of his bald spot by tattooing it. Trump is described as having been furious because the ink was darker than his hair. Of course, he has since insisted that none of this happened. After Ivana Trump divorced Donald Trump in 1990, he reportedly became reclusive and soon stopped cutting his hair. According to Vanity Fair, when a friend compared him to famed film producer Howard Hughes, Trump took it as a compliment, saying, "Thanks, I admire him."
Come on, come on, come on, come on!
Trump's hair was still shaggy in 1991 when he attended the US Open with his second wife, Marla Maples. Notably, around this time, Trump discovered Just for Men. The boxed hair dye hit drugstore shelves in the late 80s, and it allowed Trump to bleach the ashiness out of his blonde hair from the comfort of his home. According to author Michael Wolff, Trump rarely left the dye on long enough, which is where his hair's distinctive yellow tint came from. In his book Fire and Fury, Wolff outs Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, as the one who spilled this beauty secret. He also claims Ivanka has allegedly told her friends that her dad's comb-over hides a huge bald spot. Due to a ban on CFC-based aerosol hairsprays in the late 80s, Donald Trump could no longer use his favorite styling product to tame his mane. Years later, he'd bemoan the state of modern hairsprays on the campaign trail.
And then it comes out in big globs, right? And it's stuck in your hair and you say, "Oh my God, I gotta take a shower again. My hair's all screwed up."
And sure enough, Trump's hair started looking a bit deflated after the ban took effect. In 1997, he was photographed planting a kiss on the reigning Miss Universe at the time, Alicia Machado. But the wings over his ears were looking a lot moister than his lips. It's possible he was experimenting with a new spray or gel that he hadn't yet figured out how to properly apply. In the early aughts, Donald Trump's trademark hair overhang started teetering forward, coming dangerously close to touching his eyebrows, which were stretching toward it in Grinch-like arches.
Gaze into the face of fear.
In 2004, hairstylist John Mackling told the Los Angeles Times that this hairstyle wasn't actually a comb-over, but a wraparound. He explained that creating the wraparound look is a more intricate process, as the hair has to be swirled in front of the forehead. Trump dedicated an entire chapter of his 2004 book, Trump, How to Get Rich, to his hair. He reiterates that he doesn't wear a hairpiece, but says it's something he would consider doing in future. When explaining why, he writes, "I, like most men, am very vain." That same year, Trump answered a few burning questions fans might have about his hair in an interview with Playboy. He revealed that his then-girlfriend, Melania Trump, was responsible for cutting it, saying, "She's much more artistic than my hair would indicate. She's not trying to reinvent the wheel." Trump also also shared that his hair's crunchy appearance is not the result of blasting it with a blow dryer, as he prefers to let it air dry. He said, "It takes about an hour. Once it's dry, I comb it. Once I have it the way I like it, even though nobody else likes it, I spray it and it's good for the day." By the time he joined The Apprentice, Donald Trump had adopted the hairstyle that most people probably picture when they think of him. An airy tuft jutting out over his temple that resembles a clump of sun-baked vegetation. According to Amy Lash, a hairstylist who worked on The Apprentice, Trump's crispy coif was a mess of his own making. She told the Mirror, "Everything was solid. It was matted to stay put. I tapped it with my comb and it would bounce back." Lash also criticised Melania Trump's handiwork, saying of her at-home hack job on the back of Trump's hair, "It was scary. It was just cut in a straight line." While Trump seemed determined to keep his bouffant in place, a top layer flaked off at the 2004 Emmy Awards, allowing the sun to highlight its frayed fibres. That same year, he appeared on Larry King Live and said he was well aware that Apprentice viewers hated his hair, but suggested that the show's ratings might take a nosedive if he tried changing it.
The show has gotten great reviews. I've gotten great reviews. Everything's gotten great reviews except for one thing, my hair.
Donald Trump and Melania Trump's 2005 wedding was a star-studded affair, but Trump didn't want to spend too much of his own money on the lavish event. Before getting hitched, he shared one savings secret with the Sunday Times: "I'll do my own hair, unfortunately for the world." By the time he'd settled into his third marriage, Trump had clearly perfected his procedure for curling his long fringe into a neat tube. His hair often resembled a buttery croissant, without a flaky flyaway to be seen. This was his go style in 2006, the year Stormy Daniels claimed Trump had an extramarital affair with her. According to comedian Seth Rogen, who worked with Daniels on some of his movies, she once related to him a conversation she and Trump had about his hair.
He said to her that he had a dream like Samson and Delilah, and that he felt as though his power rested in his hair.
According to Daniels, this biblically inspired belief is why Trump is so afraid to change his look. Describing his hair care routine to Rolling Stone in 2011, Donald Trump revealed, "Okay, what I do is wash it with Head & Shoulders." He also said that we've all been using the wrong term to describe his hairstyle, adding, "It's not really a comb-over, it's sort of a little bit forward and back." Trump stuck with the hairstyle for his Comedy Central roast that same year, when he mused on the difference between his hair and a wet raccoon.
A wet raccoon doesn't have $7 billion in the bank.
Later on Jimmy Kimmel Live, comedian Jeff Ross said that Trump hadn't loved that joke to begin with, not because it compared him to a drenched, dumpster-diving animal, but because it had originally placed his value at a mere $2 billion. During his 2024 hush money trial, Donald Trump's hairstyle looked even worse than usual. It resembled the scribbling of an angry toddler, and the colour had reverted back to that unnatural yellow hue. A source told Page Six that this processed cheese tint was the result of Trump refusing to listen to his hairdresser's recommendation for how long to leave his hair dye on. The insider explained, "Friends say he's so impatient that he rarely gives the stylist the 30 to 45 minutes. The shorter time he gives them, the more orange his hair gets." A shot of Trump's hair from behind revealed his bald spot during the trial, despite past efforts to make his locks lush again. In 2017, Dr. Harold N. Bornstein told the New York Times that Trump was taking the hair regrowth drug Propecia. 2 months after the closing arguments in his hush money trial, Trump himself admitted that his mane was looking a bit sad. Upon seeing his hair on a screen, he told a crowd of supporters in Michigan,
That's very severe, that comb over. That's a severe sucker. What's with that one?
When Donald Trump convinced America to let him back into the White House in 2025, his hair transformed into a fluffy cloud floating high over his brow. But it was looking more wispy cirrus than puffy cumulus, and certain photos showed a lot of scalp peeking out from the large gaps between his teased tresses. Meanwhile, fans got to see what Trump would look like with a sleek hair makeover when he removed his MAGA hat after a round of golf in 2024. Still, there are some benefits to being the most powerful man on Earth. While Trump can't make his hair spring back into place after stuffing it underneath a hat, he did manage to take revenge against weak showerheads after spending years complaining about how water efficiency standards had affected his hair. In 2020, he'd said,
My hair, I don't know about you, but it has to be perfect.
One of the first executive orders Trump signed in 2025 deregulated flow efficiency on showerheads. So, with any luck, he'll now be able to get the bracing blast of water pressure he needs to remove all that hairspray.